Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of On Your Lane, My Lane Audio Experience. Not On Your Lane, My Lane Audio Experience. I'm so glad you're here. I'm so glad you're connecting again. I'm so excited as usual to be here and share amazing things that I've been learning, amazing things that I've been doing. And I just hope to inspire you to take charge of your life and make the changes that you know you must make. All right. So today's topic is how to live an effective life. Living an effective life. What does this mean? Well, effective is such a general word, but it just means that you're being good at what you're doing. You're using the right resources, the right amount of energy. You're being smart about what you have been given and using it wisely, right? That's what I define effectiveness as. And I believe that everybody should aim in their lives to live effectively, to have an effective life, to have what you've been given, which is usually not perfect. Our circumstances are not perfect. Where we're coming from is not perfect. What we think, how we act, we're not perfect. We're progressing if we make effort. If we don't make effort, we're actually retrogressing. But I think it is a noble cause to take your life and everything that comes with it and decide to be effective with it, to get the most out of it, and to make the best use out of it. It's like a situation with lemons. You make lemonade. Lemons could be bitter, but you decide, you know what, these are bitter, but there's something that could come out of it that is really good. And I think every life, your life, my life, has a capacity to make a positive impact, not only in our time, but also in generations to come. And one thing that I was thinking about when I was listening to one of the podcasts that I love, there was this point that, do you know your grandparents? That was a question that was posed, not your grandparents, but your great grandparents. I have never heard of my great grandparents. And that is because, I don't know, nobody had a story worth telling. The story was not passed on. And usually it's because they never really did anything remarkable or amazing that transformed lives or transformed our line or our family. Because I know my grandfather, the one who was alive when I was there, and I know what he did and everything, but I connected with him physically. So that's how I know him. But there is this power we have as people. When we live an effective life, we can connect with people who we will never meet. We talk about so many people who made changes in rights, in their different fields, in invention, in rights, human rights, women's rights, in faith, in so many fields. People made differences, even in cooking, art. So many, and every field has people who are remembered, and it is because they lived effective lives. And most of the stories of these people are not like, well, they were privileged and they just had everything given to them. Not really. Most of them struggled through life. Most of them had doubtful starts. They doubted themselves, they doubted their capabilities, but they got to a place in their lives where they decided to make a change. They were curious and they decided to be effective. And that is what this episode is about. I really love to talk to entrepreneurs, but if you're not an entrepreneur, it's all right. I like talking to entrepreneurs because I feel like we lack, that's what I lacked when I started, role models. Not just role models who are speaking, but role models you can just watch even from a distance. Successful entrepreneurs who are changing our environments. I grew up thinking I want to do well for me and mine, But as I grew older, I realized, no, it's bigger than just me and mine. It's my capability can expand beyond just my family, beyond just my generation. And I believe that entrepreneurship and effective living has a capacity to make that kind of impact. So I love talking to entrepreneurs because I just hope we can be able to find the boldness, the encouragement in spite of all the things that surround us in our environment. I'm in Africa, Malawi. It is really easy to just not take entrepreneurship seriously because very few people who are Black, very few locals really prevail in this area. So we always take the route of being an employee. So we try to mentor people, we try to model to people a perfect life that comes from employment and never really from entrepreneurship. And that is why I really try to give this option and talk to entrepreneurs in my space, whoever is listening, that You can be the change, the capacity in you, just the boldness to be an entrepreneur, to have that dream and to acknowledge it, that you are interested in becoming an entrepreneur is really powerful. It's really powerful. It's something that must be nurtured. And the effectiveness is limitless. When you're an employee, you have limits on how far you can go and how much impact you can have according to the space that is defined for you. But with entrepreneurship, there's no limit. If God has given you a dream and he opens doors, you can just pour in. You can go in so many directions and make an amazing impact. And so this episode is about how do we achieve an effective life? First of all, I want you to understand, one, you are powerful. You are powerful. You're God's masterpiece. God made all creation. He would just say, let there be light, let there be sky, let there be animals in the water, in the sky, and everything. But when it came to man, he took time. When he made human, he took time, and then he breathed his life. So humans have two compartments. We have this body, and then we have the spirit aspect of us, which allows us the capacity to reason, to think, to override our instincts, to not be mastered by nature. We can build homes and stay in one place throughout the season. Animals move with seasons. They are at the mercy of the weather and everything like that because they don't have the capacity to reason. They don't have the Spirit of God in them. The Spirit of God is our capacity to create, our capacity to change our environment. That is creating. When God made heavens and earth, he made man and put him in Eden. And Eden was just wild. It was trees, fruits, and just nature in there. And God said, go and dominate and fill it. And then a couple of years later, humans had chairs, tables, had running water, had all these things. That is the power to create. We made things that didn't exist. We using the resources that are there. I think that is our limitation. We use what God already made to create from it. We are co-creators with God. We are his masterpiece. And when he said multiply, he didn't give us anything other than the seed. And our seed is our mind, our spirit. That gives us the capacity to see things and see beyond what you can see with your eyes, and you see more than that. You can look at the tree and think, I could make a chair, or I could make a bed, or I could make a table. Like so many options, make spoons and whatnot. I didn't know for the longest time that paper comes from trees. It's not such an obvious thing that you can look at a tree and think paper, but human capacity and the mind allowed it, that a person could see the paper, could see the tree and figure out how to make paper from it. We can figure out what makes up the air, even though we can't see it. We can figure out rules of the universe, even though we can't really see gravity. We can't see atoms. We can't see lift. So many laws that we have uncovered as humans, and they have allowed us to dominate the earth, right? And I talk about these things, you might be saying, oh yeah, those were done by geniuses, but they were normal people. And if you take the time out, just anything that you're interested in, if you're interested in light, just read a biography on a person who discovered that. You will find that they weren't any special. They were just curious and really determined and persevered towards what they were convinced in their mind was the truth. Right? So all this is just to confirm and to encourage you that you are special. You really are special. And within you, there's a seed. You are a seed for creation. You are a co-creator with God. And I never really used to understand that because that sounded like blasphemy. But if you go through the Bible, you see God really exalting man like that. Not to his level, but exalting man like you're not just a normal creation. You are special. I made you a little lower than angels. I gave you capabilities for creation, dominate, fill the earth, multiply. All these things are things that he himself did with the earth when it was empty, and we can do in our various spaces. So you are powerful. You are powerful beyond measure. And all I hope you can do is be curious about your power. Be curious about your power so you can explore it. Because if you just say, I'm powerful and just sleep every day, then you'll never know. You never know what this power is about, because we have got different powers. Other people are famous for art. They just see things and do things with their hands, and then there's beautiful art. Other people can just sing beautifully. Other people can look at numbers and see trends and see projections and see crazy things from that. Other people can develop vaccines. We have different superpowers, but we're all co-creators. And therefore, we have no point being jealous or competing, because everyone needs to self-actualize on their own. And then we can find our area of dominance, our area where we can subdue and co-create with God. Now, because you are powerful, the three things that I'm going to highlight that you need to do to uncover this power or to progress towards it. I want to refrain from a point where you might think that you just uncover the power and it's like, aha, it's done. No, it's a process. All of life happens in processes. Why? So that we can progress through life. We can learn through it. We just become better. We never become perfect. So you can uncover your power, or you can learn it. First of all, you have to take responsibility. You have to understand you are powerful. It is you. Lots of bad things have probably happened to you. Lots of good things have probably happened to you. You have been comfortable in one way, not comfortable in another. You've been judged, you've been hurt. So many things. Everybody has that. But you have to now take responsibility. You can't use your past. You can't use your situations and circumstances as an excuse. Use it as a resource. You see it as a resource that has been building you up, building your character, building your vision, shaping you up to use and uncover your power, right? So take responsibility. The second point is learn your power. As you're taking responsibility, find your interests, find and explore those interests. You know, don't just say, oh, I'm just interested in baking. It's really cool. It looks like something I could do. Yeah. No. Start experimenting. When you learn a basic recipe, now, okay, up it. What can you add to it? What interests you? Maybe you like sweet and sour things. Explore that. Practice. So learn your superpower. And your superpower usually is something that you might not... Of course, we might be looking at specific things and we might think it's, I am great as a singer, and those are easy things to identify. But I'm thinking more in lines of what things do you come easy to you? There are some things that come easy to you that others would struggle with. For me, it was ideas. I used to think everybody thinks the same way as me. So when they look at a situation, they have ideas on how to help people, ideas on how to make money, ideas on how to creatively present a message. I used to think everybody did that. But no, not everybody does that. And so that is my superpower. So there are things if you are learning your power, you'll find that there are things that easily come to you, or there are things that you enjoy learning, getting better at. I tried to learn the guitar. I wanted to play the guitar. It seems so cool. Gosh, I just couldn't. Not that I couldn't learn. I'm sure I could, but I didn't have the patience for it and enough interest. So my interest was really shallow. So I gave it up, right? So that could be somebody's superpower. They can play the guitar for hours and not get tired with it and keep improving and keep getting better. That is your superpower. Explore it, learn it, understand it. And don't box yourself, because sometimes you might think, I found my superpower, that's it. Keep learning, keep following your interests and curiosities. Keep perfecting it. You can't perfect everything, but this is how you can eliminate what you want to pursue in the long term and what you don't want to pursue in the long term. So you might be good at the guitar, but you might try the piano and find that, wait, I love the piano more. I'm enjoying this more. Or you might find that, well, you don't like the instruments. You like maybe mixing stuff as a producer in the studio. So if you close it up, like I found my thing, I'm out, then you miss out the progress that would come, or the progression of your dream that could come from continuing to explore. So sometimes your interest and your curiosity is not the actual power, but it's leading you towards the power. So your interest in guitar is actually taking you to your interest in piano, which is going to take you into your interest in producing music. You know, so learn your power, your superpower, but don't stop learning, don't stop exploring till you get to a place where you're like, this is it. And even when you get there, keep exploring, keep growing. If you stop growing, you are dying and you're retrogressing, and that's never a good thing. So the second point is learn your superpower. And then the third is own your value. Now, as you have learned your superpower, you're practicing, stop making yourself small. You know, because you are, maybe this might be scary for you, this is a new thing, so we usually sell ourselves short and make ourselves smaller than we actually are. So you're like, yeah, don't do much, you don't expose yourself. And when you do expose yourself, you downplay your talents, you compare yourself to people, therefore taking away from what you're offering. Own your value. You are working on this. You're good at this. This is your lane. Own it. Own it. Not, don't be arrogant, but be confident in what you can do. Be confident in what you can get better at. So you might find opportunities like, okay, so we have a show where we want a guitarist, and you'll be like, no. Don't say that. If they can see your work, say, okay, test me out. If they see your work and they don't like it, go back to improve it. If they see your work and they love it, take on the challenge. You grow through the challenges. So own your value. Understand you have a superpower. You are uncovering it and it's yours, right? So own your value. Those are the 3 points that back up you're powerful. The point that you are powerful. The point that you are a co-creator. The second point is that you have to design your reality. All right, so when I talk about designing your reality, is just understanding that you have the power as a co-creator, right? You're a masterpiece. You are powerful as a being, right? So you have all this, then what? If you don't have a target where you're going to, then you might as well just waste it. You're not going to focus it on anything, so it's going to just pour everywhere. I don't know if that's making sense. So if you are watering something, you don't, I'm sorry, I'm going to my farm mindset. But anyways, if you have, like, let's say 17 crops, some are weeds and some are the crops you want to grow, and you have just 1 liter of water. If you just throw it all over the 10 or 15 crops, then you won't benefit anything good from it. What you need is to identify among these 15 crops, which ones are the ones I want to grow, because I only have 1 liter of water. So therefore, you can focus your effort on that crop, right? Does that analogy work? So what I do mean is you have to have a target where you're taking your life to. So I'm saying explore your talents, explore your superpower, but you should visualize where you're going with your life. What is the kind of impact you want to make? What do you want your power to achieve? And I love using the 90-year-old visualization. The 90-year-old visualization is a visualization that has been helpful for me. Imagine yourself at 90 years old at the end of your life. Imagine that you have lived a fulfilled life and you are happy to exit and transition to the other realm, right? Now, think what you achieved in those 90 years that is making you feel so fulfilled. What did you get done? Who are you? Like, who did you become? What characteristics? What kind of relationships? Who is around you? Think about that. The time that you'd be like, I'm leaving Earth, but I'm so happy I have done all I could with everything that I have. Remove all the limits that you could have in that space, all the buts and what ifs and everything. Remove all that and just think ideal. What is the impact you want to make? What is important to you in that vein? That is your destination. It's not a short process. Don't just do this and then think, okay, I want to do this, that. No, because we have grown up thinking specific things, or maybe short-term thinking or short-term planning, it will take you a little bit to really zone out and just allow yourself to freely dream and freely imagine the perfect end to your life, the perfect achievements. All right. So for me, my achievement or my visualization, just a little bit so I can share, was I had a lot of generosity around me. I had given a lot of my time to relationships, to people I knew and I didn't know. I had built a lot of infrastructure around my country and around the world that made a difference in people's lives. So I had created wealth and had used that wealth to uplift life, and I had used that wealth to spread the word of Jesus. So that was my 90-year-old. I'm like, oh Lord, I have done everything. I've done it all. I am grateful and I'm exiting. And when I imagined that, it acted as a map. Like, oh, okay, so my life is about this. It's about building. It's about generosity. So let me restructure it. What fits and what doesn't fit? For a while after I quit my job and I was struggling in entrepreneurship, I kept thinking once in a while that maybe I should have stayed and everything. But when I did this exercise, this 90-year-old me exercise, there was no employment in that visual. There was no joy in me thinking I went back to work or then I got a great job. No, there wasn't. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but in my in my visualization, there is nothing like that. And so that gave me this solidness, like, okay, so what will bring joy and peace to me as I exit Earth is not really just going back to work and becoming an executive in that space. It could be what you want, but it wasn't for me. So then I just took that out. I was like, okay, I'm never going back here, no matter how hard this gets. Let me focus on this, because this is what my 90-year-old self is going to delight in. And it's important for you to think about the 90-year-old self, because as we live every day, we're building up to that person. And we might not get to 90, because that's just me pulling out life, but we don't know when we exit this earth. And that's why it's important to think about the legacy, the impact you want to make in the long term, so that even as you live every day, you're living towards it. You're living with the end in mind. You're living with a purpose. No short-term ambitions. No hustle, we'll see, whatever. And the problem with short-term ambitions, you know what happens is you sacrifice important things to just get what you're hungering for in the moment. So you could hunger for money right now and sacrifice your health. And then you get to a certain age and your health is failing, but you have the money. But when you have this 90-year-old view, then you see what kind of body you have. You see what kind of health you have. You see what kind of relationships you have. So you will see a balanced life, a perfect balanced life. So in your present, then you see, how can I please that 90-year-old person? How can I get to be that 90-year-old person? How can I live every day towards that 90-year-old person? And then the balance comes in. In my 90-year-old visualization, there was also a happily married woman, me, and my grandchildren were there and everything. So it's important also in my vision, in my life day to day, to be a great wife, to be a great mom, and to be more domesticated than I normally am. Because in my vision, I am making food for my kids, and they're like, "Oh, mom, you cook the best." My grandchildren are like, "Oh, Grammy makes a great food, makes amazing food." So if I don't cook now, I'm not gonna make amazing food when I'm a grandma. So it's part of my visualization. It's part of what is ideal for me. So in the moment, and then I can then plan to say, okay, so I need to cook more. I need to expose myself to more opportunities to cook, because this is important to me. Because in my 90-year-old visualization, we were gathering around food, and I was the one making it, and I was the one connecting with others through it and everything. I hope that makes a point. Yeah, so design your life, or design your reality, which is our second point in how to live an effective life, starts with this 90-year-old visualization. So you are figuring out what your life is about. And then also, after you figure out what your life is about, define and clarify the roles you're playing in your life, right? The roles that are important to your 90-year-old self and important right now. Is your 90-year-old self a mother? Is he a father? Is he a boss? Is he a CEO? Is he an entrepreneur? Is he a philanthropist? Is he a great sister? Is he a great neighbor? A community developer? Whatever it is, right? So define those important roles, and then you see what can I do in the now that builds me towards this. If you are a person who is into community in your 90-year-old self, like community comes to you, you're this wise person, then you have to start connecting with community right now. You know, you might not do everything right now, but you start with something, a little something. So in your goals, you put a little something like, okay, attend the neighborhood meeting, or know my neighbor, or take snacks to my neighbor, or visit a new neighbor, something like that. Because in your future, you're seeing yourself as a very neighborly person who is making an impact in your neighborhood or in your community, right? So define those roles, and then define your life's impact, just like a mission statement, just a simple, straightforward way to just wrap up what is the impact your life would have made, right? So you know the 90-year-old story, the whole thing, you have visualized it, you know the roles you want to play, but in all these roles, what are they remembering you for? What is something that they say that connects with everybody in the different roles? So at home, what do they say? At work, what do they say about you? In your community, what do they say about you? That is your life's impact. You can't just be nice at home and have that as your legacy or your impact. No. When people are like, she was kind, you'll find that she was kind across the board is more meaningful than she was kind at work only, right? So think about that. It should also take you a little bit of time to really just design the words that matter to you. Mine, let me share. There is generosity, there is purpose, there is faith, and there is wealth, right? So those are the things that I hope when people are explaining my story and sharing what kind of person I am, they see these You know, they see generosity, they see purpose, they see faith, and then they see wealth as well. And yeah, that's the kind of impact I want to have. Now, the third point is then get to work. We're trying to be an effective person. Let's not forget. That's what we're talking about, how to live an effective life. And let's do a little recap. The first point, how to live an effective life, is to understand that you are powerful. And when you understand that you're powerful and a co-creator, then you have to take responsibility, you have to learn your power, and you have to own your value. All that is helping you understand that you are powerful. The second point is you have to design your reality. How do you design your reality? You have to know where you're going with your life. And that, what helps with that is a 90-year-old visualization exercise for you. And then you have to define the roles that are important to you, to your 90-year-old self, that you need to own right now and build yourself towards. And then you have to define your mission statement or your life's impact. What are you going to be remembered for across the board? Are we good? Are we together? Yay, I hope we are. All right, so the third point is then get to work. Get to work. You know all this. This is an amazing process. A lot of information on you and what your life is about. Don't just sit on it. It won't just happen to you. You are a co-creator, which means you have to get to work. You know, God rested on the seventh day. He rested because he wasn't just chilling on this in the 6 days. He was working. And I think the problem that comes in is when we see work as a burden. It could be how we were brought up. It could be where we just see work as separate from life. But when you do this process, what you're trying to do is to bring your life in one place, you know? So it's not like I have faith. My faith life is separate. From my home life, it's separate. From my work life, it's separate. From my business life, it's separate. From my neighborhood life, no, it's you are one person, like one whole person. And success in one area might not be enough, right? So you can't just succeed at home and in your business and just be terrible everywhere else. It will make you feel unwhole. So the wholesomeness of life and our ability and power as co-creators enables us to balance and prioritize and work on multiple things. And so it is now important that we get to work, right? We will rest when we're tired. We will refill when we're empty, but we will work. And this kind of work is different from the normal work. It's not just grinding for I don't sleep, but I sleep 2 hours a night because I have to make it work. No. You're working in purpose. You're being effective. Effectiveness means you're resting enough every day because you want to give your all when you show up. When you are working and all the time and sleeping a little bit, you're going to lose your creativity. You're going to lessen your mental capacity, and you're just not going to be effective with the time that you're awake. So rest. It's important that you rest. And then how do you get to work? First, prioritize, right? Prioritize. You can't do everything. Okay, you have 7 roles, for example, that you have defined that are important to you. You can't touch 7 roles every day, but you can plan your week and have all those 7 roles fit in. So as for me, I don't cook every day in my home, but I'm making it a point to cook at least 4 times in the week. So I'll make dinner, I'll make breakfast at some point, I'll make something because I have so many other things that I want to do, but I don't want to just say, I don't have time and throw it away. So I do what makes sense to me. All right. So prioritize what is important today, what is important in this week. Some goals you might have to, like for me, through philanthropic work, I might not be able to do this year because this year I'm building a lot. It's not like I won't give, but I'm not going to start a foundation. I'm not going to now start NGO work. No, because I'm still building, but that's in my future. That's something I want to do. So I can put it in a maybe 3-year plan or 2-year plan, something that I will look into. In the meantime, I can be giving in a very informal way, you know, but that is building up to where I'm going. So that is prioritizing. Prioritize your week, prioritize your, let's say, 3-year plan, prioritize every day. When I say 3-year plan, maybe it might be overwhelming for you, but prioritize every week. You must have a vision for what this year is about, because you have a vision of what the 90-year-old person wants. That is a vision for your life, all of it. So now you might think, okay, so what do I do this year that moves me closer to this 90-year-old vision of me? All right, so prioritize, and that you have the plans for this year. Then you move to, what can I do this week? What can I do this quarter of this year towards this? What can I do this week? What can I do this day? We have the tendency to overestimate what we can do in a day or in a week or in a month, and then underestimate what we want to do in the longer term. That is why this 90-year-old version of you is supposed to just be a guiding light, right? So as you put your plans for the year, for the month, for the week, they have to lead somehow to where you're going, which is the 90-year-old version of you. So prioritize, say no, say yes, right? Learn when to say no. Learn when you say yes. Because some yeses that you say are automatic no's to some things. So if you say yes to partying all weekend, it's no to working on your dream over the weekend. If that is, if you work all week and you want to cultivate some dream, you want to start a business, you can't party all weekend then, because then you're trading your precious free time for something that is not in your 90-year-old version of you. So prioritize, learn to say no and yes at the right time. And the second thing is sacrifice. It's also a lot like prioritizing the work together. Sacrifice is when now it's you. You're thinking, okay, what do I need to build this kind of person that I want to be? Right? For me, it's reading. I need to read a lot. I need to learn a lot. So I subscribe to a lot of podcasts. Oh my goodness. I'm sorry about that. I beat myself a little bit. I subscribe to a lot of podcasts. I subscribe to a lot of courses online. I keep learning. I read a lot because that's a sacrifice I have to make. And that means I don't watch as many movies. That means I don't spend a lot of time being entertained. I spend a lot of time learning. It doesn't mean that I just learn all the time, but most of my time during the week, I am spending that learning something. Because of that, I'm also picky on what kind of people I can connect with as friends, because I am also using every opportunity I have to have a positive influence on me. I don't want to think about building my business or being a positive influence in my family. Then now I'm gossiping and talking negatively about people. Then when I come back to my life, I have all this baggage about other people's lives and comparing with that. It's just unnecessary distractions that I don't want to tolerate in my life. So that's something that I do as sacrifice, trading off, and then also accountability. Get accountability. Don't just do all this process on your own and just be on your own. I know sometimes it's hard to find people who are really supportive, and pray for it. Ask God to bring people like that, because it makes a difference. If you don't have people like that, accountability can be you writing things down. And that's really important. Even if you have people, write things down, go back to it. Give yourself a weekly, monthly, quarterly review where you go back to read what you wrote and then hold yourself accountable. Like for my fitness goals, some goals are easy to get accountability even on social media. So I put something on social media and I tell myself I post every day that I work out, which is like 5 days a week. That's accountability for me. And I sort of like feel heavy when I don't post because I didn't work out, So it's working on my accountability vibes somehow, even though I don't have a direct person who's checking on me. I've raised my alarms in my system that say, hey, you have nothing to share on social today because you didn't work out, because you were lazy, and you have been portraying yourself as a person who works out. So it works in my favor to keep me accountable. And also mentorship. Get a mentor. And when you don't have the ability to get a mentor, and if you don't have access to mentors, it's okay. You can use books as mentors. Most of my mentors are books, are in the podcasts, the people I follow on Instagram. I follow specific accounts of people who are doing what I want to do. So I take those as mentors too, but also pray that God brings physical people or one person who can mentor you, because there's wisdom in that, and there is a lot of positive things that could come in that. There's a whole story on how you can choose mentors. Basically, one thing I would say is don't choose somebody whose life you don't admire. So let's say you're trying to lose weight and you're going for mentorship from a person who is overweight, it won't work. All right. So you should, if you're trying to build a multi-billion-dollar business or whatever business you want to build, your mentor should be somebody who has built something, who has built a business. You don't want to be mentored by somebody who doesn't understand or who doesn't relate to what you're going through. It will be disastrous. That's just a tip on mentorship. All right. So that's about it. This is about how to live an effective life. And I believe this is really valuable, and I believe that if you take it and apply it and really process it, listen again and take notes and really apply it to your life, it will be transformational. It has been for me, really. It has been for me. And when you have a view of where you're going with your life, it's a game changer. It's a game changer on your perspective on a day-to-day. It's a game changer on your attitude day-to-day. It is just amazing. Amazing in a good way that you're living on purpose. Purpose changes everything. All right. So let me do a recap. This topic is, how do you live an effective life? Because it's important that you uncover the potential that you have. So you have to live an effective life. First of all, you have to know you're powerful and you're a co-creator with God. And how do you do that? You have to take responsibility, you have to learn your power, and you have to own your value. The second thing is, you have to design your reality. So do a 90-year-old visualization about you so that you can know what your life is about. And then you also have to define the roles that matter to you in your life. The third point is you have to define your life's impact, which is like your mission statement or adjectives that you want to be remembered by, the impact you want to make. And the third point is get to work. How do you get to work? Prioritize, sacrifice, get accountability, and get mentorship. Come on, guys, let's live an effective life. Let's do something that matters. Let's be remembered for generations. Let's not waste airspace and waste just be. Let's not do that. Let's be effective in our different goals, in our different ambitions, whether it's entrepreneurship, whether it's a career of some sort, whether it's just philanthropy, or whatever purpose, whatever desire, whatever talent, whatever gifting you have. Let's be effective in that and make an impact that lasts. All right, co-creator. All right, co-creator. I pray you have a good day. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.